You ever notice how the quietest mornings have a way of blowing up your whole sense of peace? That's what happened to me. A retired guy just looking for another slow Tuesday with nothing but fog curling through the valley and a second cup of coffee in my hand. That's when it started, the sound that split my little bubble in half. 3 sharp knocks on the iron gate at the end of my driveway, like the universe just couldn't stand to let me relax for once. Now, that gate, it doesn't see much action. 20 yards of gravel, and the propane tank standing guard like some big white sentry, heart of the whole property. Heat, stove, hot water, all powered by that beast. I built my life out here with my own hands, you know? No city lines, just the thrum of self-reliance. So when I hear those knocks, I set down the mug, wipe the sawdust and sweat off my palms, and head out, thinking maybe it's the delivery guy, maybe it's a neighbor in trouble. But no, not today. There she stood, khaki slacks, blouse tucked tighter than a budget meeting, and a clipboard like it was welded to her hand. I didn't know her name yet, but I knew the type, the kind that sees rules as power, not as guidance. She didn't bother with small talk. "You must be Mr. Cooper," she said, like she was reading my name off a naughty list. "I'm Karen Lowe, Vice President of the East Hollow Estates HOA. I leaned on the gate, arms crossed, trying to keep things civil. "Don't believe we've met. I'm not in East Hollow Estates." She shot me this smile, tight, professional, and not hiding her contempt one bit. "Well, your property borders our community," she said, flipping through her clipboard. "According to our visual compliance report, your propane tank is fully visible from the East Hollow access road." I blinked. "So?" She tapped her board like she was gaveling me out of order. "That's a violation. Article 12, Section 4. Tanks have to be screened or buried. Yours is neither." I just stared. "That's because I don't live in East Hollow Estates. This property was deeded back in '86, before your subdivision even existed." She looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "But your property can be seen from our community. So can the mountains, Karen. You planning to find them too?" She didn't laugh, wasn't built for it. "We've received multiple complaints. The tank's unsightly. It affects our neighborhood's visual continuity. Your HOA doesn't cross this fence," I replied, tapping the old surveyor pin like a gavel. Of my own. She wasn't listening. "You'll receive a notice of noncompliance by mail. Remove the tank or screen it within 30 days or fines will accrue." Something inside me went cold, not mad, just focused. 32 years wrangling bureaucrats in aerospace will teach you the most dangerous person is the one with a little power and no sense of boundaries. I didn't flinch. I opened the gate for her. "I'll walk you out." She tried to act brave, but I could see her step back. "There's no need, Mr. Cooper." "There is," I said. "You're trespassing." She shut her mouth, took the hint, and headed back to her silver SUV, glancing one last time at my tank. "You'll be hearing from us," she called over her shoulder. "I'm counting on it." She tore off in a spray of gravel, and I stood there a minute, thinking about how some people just can't let folks be. 30 days, she'd said. That tank, inspected, certified, county permitted, was apparently offensive because someone in a cookie-cutter house didn't like the look of it. Hell no. Back inside, I dug out my file cabinet, laying hands on deeds, survey maps, permits, the whole mountain of paperwork that comes with doing things right. This wasn't about a tank. It was about principle. I'd spent a life where a tiny mistake could end in disaster. I knew how rules worked. What I couldn't figure was why someone like Karen thought she could bend them over people like me. So, I made copies of everything. Deed, survey, install permit, the whole 9 yards, slapped a fresh label on the folder. HOA Propane. Dispute. The clock was ticking. 2 days later, thick envelope in my mailbox. East Hollow Estates Compliance Division. Looked real official. Cheap embossed logo, too much cologne for what it was. Inside, for pages, violation, community standards, safety, aesthetic harmony. They'd even printed out a cell phone photo of my property with the tank highlighted in red, probably Karen, skulking by the access road. Remove or screen in 30 days or $100 daily fines. We hope to resolve this amicably. Yeah, that's the corporate version of a gun on the table. I couldn't help but laugh. I walked outside, listened to the hiss of the propane regulator, system breathing just fine, lines tight as a drum. Standing there, I stared up at the ridge where HOA homes began, not 100 yards from my fence. Anyone really looking could see the tank. But you could see a hawk's nest and coyotes running the draw, too. Life out here isn't always pretty, but it's real. Back inside, I typed up a reply, no emotion, just facts. Scanned every deed, map, and permit, highlighted the coordinates. Tank was well within my line, 40 feet from the shared fence, more than 100 from their road. Sent it certified mail and by email, just to cover every angle. 3 days later, email from Marcy at the HOA. Due to proximity and visibility, the violation still stands. Screening or removal must be completed by the deadline. Didn't mention jurisdiction, didn't acknowledge I wasn't in the HOA. It was like arguing with a brick wall. They figured proximity was authority. That was a mistake. I printed the reply, added it to my folder, and called Mason Green, county zoning officer, old buddy from the 2017 storm when he used my generator for a couple days. He owed me a favor. Mason, it's Cooper. Got a minute? Business or bourbon? He asked. Business. The HOA's after my propane tank. You're outside their tract, right? Pre-HOA. I got all the paperwork. Send it over. I'll check overlays and easements. Send him everything. While I waited, I walked the line, survey pin still hammered flush, no question about the boundary. 3 days later, Mason called back. You're clear. Tank's 100% on your land. No shared utilities, no easements. HOA's got no authority. Want the official letter? Copy the HOA board, too. I said, petty, maybe, but sometimes you gotta let folks know you play for keeps. The official packet showed everything. Lot lines, easements, the HOA boundary. Red dotted line stopped 26 feet short of my tank. I framed that map, hung it in my hallway, not out of pride, but as a reminder, facts matter. But facts don't stop people like Karen. That night, flashlight beam danced by my fence. I hit it with my tactical light, high lumen, straight out of my old work bag. The figure ducked. You're on camera. Leave now, or I'll press charges. I saw the glint of a clipboard. Karen again. They weren't just trying to find fault, they were looking for ammo. So, I installed trail cams and a 4K security camera. Every inch recorded, stored to the cloud. If they were going to play, they were going to lose on tape and in court. Within a week, cameras caught 2 more. First, for 17 a.m. on Sunday, HOA windbreaker, clipboard, measuring my tank. Second, dusk, Karen herself. Whispering into a Bluetooth headset, pointing at my tank. Didn't matter what she was saying. What mattered was where she was standing. I labeled everything, added it to the folder. In my old job, we said, paper trail wins. Called the sheriff's non-emergency line. Just wanted a record, not a fight. Deputy Vega came out, watched the footage, took a USB copy. If they cross the line again, we'll push for trespassing. Not a win, but it was breathing room. Then the fine started. Another envelope, thicker. Escalated violation packet, 6 pages now, daily fines stacked up retroactively. $100 a day, 12 days, $1,200. It was pure psychological warfare, pressure, official-looking nonsense. They thought I'd fold, bury the tank, call a contractor just to make the racket stop. They didn't know who they were dealing with. I built a counterfile, deeds, permits, affidavits, dated inspection reports, zoning overlays, Mason's letters, security footage stills. Even had the county assessor send out a field agent with GPS tools. Marked every pin with orange flags, signed a declaration, notarized on the spot. They touch it, they're in violation. I had him put that in writing. Karen wasn't giving up. She sent a group email to the HOA board, CC'd me. Called my tank a blatant disregard, included grainy trespassing photos. What she didn't know, I had high-res originals with timestamps and GPS. I replied, my property is not under HOA jurisdiction. Attached, notarized boundary survey. Video evidence of trespass, county letter confirming exemption. Further harassment will go to my attorney. I signed it Robert Cooper. That name carries weight, especially in legal circles. 2 hours later, a call, Sarah Delgado, HOA legal counsel. I'd like to understand your position. We both knew this was escalating. I laid out every piece of evidence. She paused. You're recording this, aren't you? Of course. She said she'd review and get back to me. I hung up, feeling like I was standing at the edge of something bigger than a tank dispute. So I called Janice Blackwell, local attorney, ex-prosecutor, reputation for loving a fight. 30 minutes after I sent her the file, she texted, "I'm in. Let's put them back in their box." Her first letter was a masterpiece. Cited zoning statutes, case law, warned of harassment and trespass. Demanded all contact go through legal counsel. Certified mail to everyone, board, management. Legal. Should have ended there, but not with Karen. 4 days later, hand-delivered envelope. Emergency hazard review. Now they claimed the tank was a fire risk, visible from common areas. They were switching tactics, fear instead of aesthetics. Janice didn't even blink. "It's a bluff," she said. "If they send anyone, we'll bury them in court." She drafted a cease and desist, restraining order, civil penalties, criminal trespass. Next morning, tires on gravel. Black pickup with hazard lights, followed by a white van. Safe gas utility and recovery. 2 men. High-vis vests, clipboard and crowbar. And Karen, jeans and windbreaker, standing 10 feet inside my boundary. "We're here to mitigate the hazard you've refused to address." The man with the crowbar looked uneasy. "Ma'am, this isn't the location we were told. This is the tank." Karen cut him off. "Your failure to comply has put the community at risk. This ends now." I stepped between them. Folder in hand. Maps, legal opinions, sheriff's notices. "You touched that tank. It's criminal trespass and attempted theft." He turned to Karen. "Do you have the county order, ma'am?" She stammered. "This is HOA sanctioned." "Yes, you do," I said. "Need county authorization." That's when Deputy Vega rolled up, lights flashing. "Morning, folks. We've had a call about unauthorized access." Karen tried to bluster. "This is HOA business, public safety." Vega shook his head. "Ma'am, you're on private land. If you step further, I'll have to cite you." Karen retreated. "The contractors left." Vega turned to me. "Next time, we go on the record." I nodded. That night, more cameras, warning signs, new lock on the propane housing. Janice sent a letter to the HOA, local paper, and county board. Laid out every trespass, every intimidation, how the HOA had tried to invent power where it had none. Silence fell over the community after that, thicker than Karen's voice ever was. But people like her don't stop when they lose. They stop when everyone sees them lose. That's when it changed. Neighbors slowed down, craned their necks at the infamous tank. Some stopped waving. But I didn't mind. What got me was the 2 a.m. camera footage, a figure in a hoodie, gloves, toolkit, sneaking through the shrubs. Karen. No clipboard this time. She knelt by the tank, fiddling with the regulator. When I checked after, the cap was half unscrewed, enough to leak propane if I'd used the heater the next morning. Enough to make someone sick, or worse. Called the sheriff. Vega and another deputy arrived. Showed them footage, tools disturbed. "You're pressing charges this time," Vega said. "Yes," I replied. "Full report." They opened an investigation. Janice filed for a restraining order, and I brought in the propane tech to inspect the tank. Luckily, nothing compromised. That night, new floodlights, more trail cams. I was done playing defense. Then a twist I never saw coming. Call from Benjamin Liu, HOA board member. "We need to talk." We met at the fence. "I'm not defending Karen," he said. "She's gone after others. Wind chimes. Sunflowers, the works. She corners anyone who disagrees. But now, she's crossed the line. If you go legal, some of us will support it." That night, I finalized my package, evidence. Technician's report, Benjamin's support. By Monday, Janice had the restraining order filed, citing harassment, trespassing, and reckless endangerment. The sheriff classified it as criminal interference with utility infrastructure. But I wasn't done. I marched down to the county office, pulled every zoning, annexation, and HOA record, had it notarized and sealed. My land was outside. East Hollow forever, on record for anyone to see. Fire marshal inspected the tank. 56 feet of clearance, certified, safe. I taped copies of the county's letter to my mailbox, the tank, the inside of my fence. I wasn't just defending myself now, I was daring them. That's when Janice sent the bombshell, a leaked HOA meeting transcript. Karen, on record, pushing to remove my tank, knowing full well it was outside her reach. By the time he proves it's not, it'll already be gone. Premeditated. Janice amended the complaint. Intent to defraud, conspire to trespass. The tide turned overnight. After weeks of feeling like I was at war alone, the storm broke. Karen was the center of it now. The day came. The trucks, the clipboard, the emergency removal crew. Karen, 2 board members, and a contractor ready to go. But I was ready too. Phone recording, documents in hand. I called out, "This is private property. You're trespassing. Any of you cross that line, you're facing charges." She tried to push through. But then, Benjamin stepped in. "He's telling the truth. The board never approved this. You acted alone." Sarah Delgado, the HOA lawyer, backed him. "What you're doing is not just unauthorized, it's criminal." Karen's face turned crimson, but she had no fight left. Contractors packed up and left. Sarah took the envelope of evidence. And Karen stood alone, her whole empire dissolving in broad daylight. 3 days later, Deputy Vega called. "She's not letting go. Karen filed a police report against you for interfering with an HOA safety operation." He was unamused. "We're mediating before this turns into subpoenas." At the county sheriff's substation, Karen tried to control the story, but the captain cut through it with county records. Trail cam footage showed her tampering with the tank. She tried to deny, but the facts were plain. "The captain let me have the final word. I just wanted an apology and to be left alone." Sarah Delgado spoke up, blaming Karen for everything. Meeting adjourned. Vega told Karen, "You should be glad he's reasonable." The county's HOA oversight meeting drew a crowd. East Hollow folks, curious and furious. Judge McKenna led. I spoke my truth, documents, photos, everything. Karen tried to justify herself, but Benjamin and the board treasurer called her out. Sarah Delgado resigned on the spot. The committee forwarded everything to the county attorney, recommended penalties, and a board reorg. Karen slumped in her chair, the fight gone out of her. 6 months have passed. No more letters, no more trucks, no more HOA shenanigans. Rumor is Karen moved to another county, where she can micromanage the color of mailboxes to her heart's content. Benjamin took over. Policy review, letters of apology. He left a note on my gate. "You taught us a lesson in courage and law. Respectfully, Benjamin." Funny, I never set out to be a teacher. Just wanted to be left alone. The tank still stands, a little monument to self-reliance and boundaries that matter. I think about all this sometimes, how little pressures, left unchecked, become disasters. Karen was small pressure until she wasn't. My silence was small pressure, too. Now, I know peace isn't something you're handed. It's something you defend. A few months back, new neighbors moved in, brought cookies, nervous about the stories. "We heard about the tank," they said. "They're after our compost bin now." I asked, "Is it on your land?" "Yep." I smiled. "Then stand your ground." They did. No one's knocked on their gate. That's what I'd tell anybody. Your land, your rules, your story. You don't have to shout to be right. Just be ready, be steady, and don't ever let anyone cross your line. Not with a clipboard, not with a badge, not with a single ounce of your peace. And now I'm curious, where do you stand? Ever had to fight for your own space, your own rights? Drop your story or your thoughts below. I want to hear how you'd handle it. Was I right, or did I go too far? Because out here, sometimes the only way to keep the peace is to fight for it. And hey, if you've ever had a run-in with the clipboard brigade, let's hear your story.